He wasn't on the line anymore, and he was just upset.
Shout out to Rams getting 2-2.
So we're both in Melbourne at the same time.
Sco?
I'm gonna DJ.
Not really out of me calls. I took
Wow.
the game.
It was pretty much everything we saw. What happened?
What's good, man? We'll have to be there. He's like, you have to be here in a week. There's a cutoff for like an
Hi guys, welcome back. This is episode 23 of the Reupload podcast, and we have a legend in the game. The guy actually taught me how to play basketball, funnily enough. Bruce Bolden he played for the Kings, played for Western Sydney Razorbacks, and he is the creator and founder of My Hoops Academy. Still go by My Hoops Academy?
My Hoops Academy, My Hoops Basketball, it's the same. It's about, skills and the fundamentals.
So you want to quickly tell everybody something about yourself, if they don't know who Bruce Bolden is?
That they don't know?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm just someone who, grew up, wanting to play at the highest level. Obviously, it was the NBA. And that path took me from my hometown of Flint, Michigan to Boise State, to Europe, and to Australia, because unfortunately my skill level wasn't at that that place where I could be drafted or participate in NBA, but the passion was still there, so I just continue on with playing and work my way to where I ended up with a nice 17-season career in Australia in the NBL.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Yeah.
So firstly, before we get into you, as some of you, especially my mates that I've spoken about, like how I started playing basketball, Bruce was the guy that taught me how to shoot a basketball, how to dribble a basketball back when I would have been maybe 12, let's say.
Uh-huh.
What was I like? Was I as annoying as was I an annoying little kid?
No, you wasn't an annoying little kid. You was a kid that that was passionate, but would get frustrated pretty quick when things didn't work out your way.
Yeah.
Not realizing that what we were working on wasn't going to happen straight away. It was a process, and that we had to stay on course with that process, and you had to stay stay positive, stay upbeat, and not be too hard on yourself. When I put you in tough situations or things, your shot wasn't falling that day. But
yeah,
I knew eventually it would work out.
This is something I just thought of on the top of my head. The classic Will and Sam Fraser one-on-one matchups. Obviously, I won more of them. When thinking back that 5-6 years ago?
I enjoyed it. I enjoyed watching the big brother, try to dominate his little brother who was feisty, competitive, liked to throw his weight around when his older brother, as in you, was trying to be the teacher and showing off the student. And there was some good competitive one-on-one sessions, man.
Oh, those were the days. He's playing with us on Mondays as well. I got to play. He had not played since high school, and he's loving it again. He's not playing as much as he used to, but even so, he'll play on Mondays.
Good, man. That's good to see you guys ended up with that that brother combo.
Of course, he still goes on about how I hog the ball too much, but he still can shoot. It's really weird. He won't touch a ball in 2 years, but then can make he hit 2 threes in a game, a couple games back.
Yeah, I did see that he was that type that was just an all-around athlete.
Oh yeah,
that could be good in a lot of different things.
Yeah,
but one of those guys that would, that for whatever reason would be reluctant to put everything down and focus on one particular sport. But, that's what happens when you're an all-around gifted player. You like to dabble in everything and show your skill set and your abilities within a lot of different sports, just depending on how you feel on that day or where you was at on that day. And that he's definitely that type of guy.
Oh, 100%. Let's get into you. So I was doing some research So Flint, Michigan, you grew up. I remember you telling me this back in the day. But then on your Wikipedia and all online, you're born. It's at Jackson, Mississippi. So you were born in Mississippi and then moved to Michigan. Is that?
Yeah, that's correct. So I was born in Jackson, Mississippi. My father decided to, relocate us to Flint, Michigan, because that's where, particularly Michigan itself, where the car industry was booming. And so he thought that we would have a better life up there if he had a job in the car industry. Use that as our new home, our foundation, where we could, grow as a family. My sister and I could go to school and have a very fruitful family in Flint, Michigan. Yeah.
Was Michigan like, how they talk back, like, especially with Detroit, was it as bad as like people say back in, was that the 70s, 60s, 70s?
Yeah, it would have been the 70s, 80s. I mean,
80s, yeah.
I mean, growing up, it was bad, but it didn't faze me at all. I just was a kid enjoying life, hanging out with my friends, playing basketball as much as I could.
Yeah.
I never really got into trouble myself. I didn't hang around guys or gangs who would always, be doing things that they shouldn't and find their way into, into trouble with the police, because I was always mindful that, hey, if I get in trouble outside of home, when I get back home, it's going to be even worse. So that kind of kept me, away from that and made it easy for me to be doing things that I enjoyed and got some satisfaction out of, which was majority of the time basketball. How
did you get into basketball? Was your mom or your dad like, oh, you were just really tall when you were like a kid and they're just like, Bruce, just go play basketball? What was that like?
Well, growing up, I played all different sports. I played basketball. I would say NFL, which is gridiron as they call it here. Baseball.
So I don't know why we call it gridiron.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Flag football, which is Oztag.
Yeah.
And enjoyed all of it. And then it got to about 13 years old, and I was pretty tall for a 13-year-old. I had a cousin of mine who I credit my basketball career with in terms of making that decision. He said to me back then that, hey, Bruce, you're tall. You should put all those other sports to the side and start focusing on basketball because you can make it in the NBA.
Yep.
Because back then it was all about if you were tall, you had a real good chance at the NBA. And so when he put it to me that way, the thing that rung out in my mind was NBA.
Yeah.
That's I love being in the NBA. And so that was the turning point to get me to solely focus on basketball when my cousin gave me that message. And also behind that message was some confidence that he saw me going down that path if I were to solely focus on basketball. And I took that on board, started, playing a lot more basketball when I could, didn't do any other sports. And I started seeing improvement myself.
Yeah.
And enjoying it. And, getting some respect from my friends at the time on the playground. They would always say, hey, Bruce, man, come play with us. Because when you're on the playground and you off, you'll be out for an hour because there's so many guys waiting. But you always get picked up by a team that one of their players might have decided to leave, and then they have the choice of picking up another player. And so that's what happened with me. A lot of times it was like, Bruce, come play with us. And so, that gave me gave me some satisfaction that, hey, I'm doing something. My skills are getting better. These dudes are, giving me my props and wanting me to play with them when they need a player. So it all started that way.
Do you remember any like crazy runs back in Flint back in the day? Did you ever like go up against like NBA players or anything?
Yeah, well, see, in Flint, a lot of guys in Flint that I played up against, most people wouldn't know them because they were sort of Flint legends.
Yeah.
I did, whenever we played in a what's called a St. Cecilia competition in Detroit.
Yep.
There would be teams from Flint, teams from Detroit, teams from Saginaw, teams from Lansing, teams from Chicago would go and play in this competition. In that competition, you had Magic Johnson.
Oh wow.
Isaiah Thompson. You had Mark McGuire.
Wow.
I think I can't remember if Dominic Wilkins came down there as well. So yeah, it was probably one of the toughest leagues in Michigan. It was called St. Cecilia. So it was always a good run, and Flint was known for its ballers. You know, kind of like Waldo, which is known for their sportsmen.
Yep.
Flint, if you were to Google Flint and Google sportsmen from Flint, you would see a long list of them that come out of Flint, like Morris Peterson, Glenn Rice.
Oh wow.
Mikal Bridges, Monte Morris, Mateen Cleaves, a guy named Barry Stevens, Trent Tucker. So Flint has definitely generated some ballers. And
I can see.
Yeah, and it's one of those things too where, you know, whenever I say to people I'm from Flint, the first thing they say is, "Oh, Flint is generated some ballers out there." So it's a known city for ballers around the world.
Yeah. Well, Michigan State, is it Michigan State in Flint or is it Michigan?
So Michigan State is in Lansing.
Lansing. Yep.
Michigan is in Ann Arbor.
Ann Arbor.
Yeah.
I always remember hearing Flint, Michigan. I don't know where from, but
there's a couple of reasons. Bowling for Columbine, which is a movie based out of Flint.
Yep.
And also, unfortunately, you had the water crisis.
Yeah.
That's from Flint as well, which they are, slowly improving now.
So what was it like playing against these legends like Magic, Isaiah, Aguirre?
I mean, at the time, we just went out there and ball. We didn't look at them that way. We looked at them as, okay, we know what they're gonna bring. We got to make sure we bring our game as well, because if you didn't, they chew you up. So whenever we came to town ready to ball.
Yeah.
Those guys, had guys come from Chicago. It's a baller's city. Lansing, that's where Magic came from. Detroit has some hard-nosed ballers. Even Saginaw, which is where Draymond Green is from. He's from Saginaw, Michigan.
Yep. So
we didn't put them up on this pedestal. We respected them by coming down there and balling out, and trying to walk away at the end of the day saying that, hey, we won a couple of good games, or we won a tournament, and that we held our own on that particular day or tournament.
What was it like back then, like with scouting your opponents? Because obviously there wasn't social media and stuff. Did you just go play?
No, we didn't scout. I mean, once we had played there once, we knew the players that they was going to have. Yeah. We knew chances are that Chicago would have, Mark McGuire. We knew Magic was coming to town. We knew from Lansing, the guy named Daisy McClung. So you knew, who was coming, and that just made you get even, more prepared and ready to ball.
So you went to Boise State University, and one thing I really wonder, the recruiting process. What was it like then? Did you speak to your local schools like Michigan and Michigan State and stuff? And then how did you get recruited? So
high school for me was one where I was still developing. And so coming out of high school, our main player, he was probably top 20 in America. His name was Barry Stevens. He ended up going to Iowa, and he got drafted by the Warriors. Yep. Me, I was just a blue collar. I rebounded, played tough D, tried to get in positions to catch and just put it up.
Yep.
So I didn't have a whole lot of college interests. I think I might have had about six colleges interested in me. And and the other thing too is I really didn't want to stay in Michigan. I had some Michigan teams interested in me, Central Michigan,
Yep.
Grand Rapids.
Yep.
I mean, that's not to say if Michigan or Michigan State was interested in me, I wouldn't have highly considered it. Of course I would have, but I did want to leave Michigan, and my choices were San Diego State, Xavier down in Louisiana,
Yeah.
Boise State, Idaho State, even Weber State, which was where
Mr. Lillard played.
Yeah, Damian Lillard went. And so the whole time, Boise State was always reaching out to me, asking me, my thoughts, trying to get my decision. And I actually was going to go to Xavier down in Louisiana with my high school teammate, but then that failed, and he ended up going to Iowa State, and I was in a position where I had to make a decision. Boise State was still there, knocking on the door, still reaching out, still trying to get me to commit to them, and then I end up committing to Boise State and going there.
Awesome.
Mm.
Seeing like, I'd imagine it's probably even worse when you played. Like, obviously they just brought on the NIL deal with all the guys that can finally make, name, images, and likeness and get paid. How do you feel about that? Like being a, college athlete in the 80s, where I would imagine it would have been tough, because you're playing basketball probably 2 or 3 times a day. And then how the hell are you going to have time to go and make some money for yourself? So what was that experience like? And then what's your thoughts on the current college situation with the NIL?
Well, fortunately for me, my experience was a good one. I didn't really struggle for money. My parents always, looked after me with some spending money.
Yeah.
At the same time, what's happened now legally used to happen back in the day under the table.
Yep.
So certain players were still getting looked after. That's just the way it was.
Yep.
But it wasn't a case where I was struggling, going 4 or 5 days without any money in my pocket. That wasn't the case, especially my second year onwards, because your second year onwards, you stay off campus.
Yep.
And you get allowance from the school.
Oh yeah.
You pay for your rent and your expenses.
Yep.
So then that allowed me to kind of pick an apartment where I think there was 4 of us stayed in the apartment, and that allowed me to have some extra money left over from my monthly money from the school. So I was okay. I was in walking distance to the school, so I didn't have to worry about catching the bus or catching a ride or anything. So that side of it didn't affect me whatsoever. But today with the NIL, I mean, I'm all for it, because we know how much money the NC2A have made off athletes, right? And athletes, they couldn't even get a fan or a booster to buy them, some McDonald's, a Big Mac meal. It's crazy. But yet those same boosters support the school, which in turn support the program. So I think eventually what was going to happen is it was going to be stronger under the table, and the rumors was going to be floating a lot more that this booster is looking after this player, and then all of a sudden you're going to get a local journalist that want to look more into that and expose it, and then they come back where the university has been aware of it all along, and it makes them look bad. So now let's just put it out on the table, let those players, both male and female, see if they can, generate some revenue off their brand. And so therefore it might help the influx of kids playing college basketball or playing college sports, being able to have a local car dealership to sponsor them, give them some money so they then can give that money to their family and help their family out of that struggle situation, and also help their family come and watch them
Exactly.
play more. So I'm all for it. I'm glad NC2A finally did the right thing to the athletes and allow them to get a piece of that pie.
Yeah, that's about damn time.
Yeah.
But if I would, my big opinion on it is that, you know, they're still, especially with these top guys, you look back like players like Ben Simmons, and you know, I don't think it's ever came out, but he would have got some incentive to go to LSU when they weren't. Well, LSU's always been a big university, but they weren't a team finishing in the top 25 ever, not for a long time. And then, but even so, like Division I basketball is still a better option for these kids. You just looked at the whole guys from the J League. 4 of them going to get drafted. Yeah, Dyson Daniels, which is a success story, but most of them. Yeah. You have that the overtime thing, elite thing, and then there's still overseas. And you obviously you have different people like LaMelo Ball who, you know, prove that that's not the best option, but it's still proven today. The top 3 picks were all one and done college athletes. Yeah. So
the path to getting to the NBA, if that's your dream and and you have the skills to do that, it is definitely changed. And players need to bring down the hype and really look at which is the best pathway for them. Because I've seen over the last 2 years, it hasn't worked out for players who the hype had them, as first rounders.
Yeah.
Okay. And also they've got themselves in situations playing wise where they weren't able to showcase their whole skill set because of the coach's game plan, because of the personnel, because of the style of play. And so these things have to really be looked at, thought about real thoroughly, and have that conversation with the coach, with the team. For example, the NBL, there's kids that are deciding to come to NBL, and then go into the NBA that way. Yep, that's great. But the coach, the organization, and the player, they have to be on the same page.
Yeah, 100%.
That can be a problem. Yeah.
One thing I'm afraid for, especially like, do you know who Mikey Williams is? Have you heard of that name?
Mikey Williams, did he just commit to Kansas?
Oh yes, you saw that photo. So that was some visit. But like kids like him who's been in the spotlight since he was 13 years old. I think he's just going to his senior year now. What's this kid gonna, maybe he goes plays 1 year, but like what's it really gonna be like when he's in a college situation when he's not that Michael Williams around? There's going to be another top player who's trying to make the name for himself.
Like, this is the thing, those players behind the scenes, if they're not getting caught up in that and they are really grinding and putting themselves in the right position and speaking to the right people and being trained by the right people, it can work out. But this overtime, obviously someone like Mikey, they want to put it out there. Yeah. Because overtime, their approach is, hey, we put Mikey out there, overtime gets more exposure.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Right. We hope Mikey, his exposure will lead to opportunities, but it's opportunities, exposure don't lead to NBA. Your skill set lead to the NBA.
Exactly.
That's the difference. I give you another example, Mike Foster.
Oh, yep. Oh,
yeah.
Won the J League.
Mike Foster, he was at, what was he at?
He's played at,
he was at Hillcrest.
Yep.
Right. And now he's in summer league with 76ers.
Yep.
Now, when he's at Hillcrest, he was a man amongst boys. He played a season in the G League. Right. But he didn't get drafted. Okay. So you sort of ask yourself, okay, you were a man amongst boys at Hillcrest. G League, you didn't show anything unique and different.
Didn't do enough.
Because all of a sudden now you are a man among men, experienced men in the G League. And so now he's in a situation with Philly where during the summer league, he's going to have to really show something different that the teams haven't seen or didn't know he had in his repertoire.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Another example, Kai Soto for LA 36ers.
Yes. Good.
Okay.
Good.
It's another example. And
Yeah.
I know firsthand the way he played in NBL was he went to the block, which I can understand because he's a footer, so he can just, drop step, jump hooks, drop step, power up in the NBL. In the NBA, that's not going to work.
100%.
100%. So he didn't prepare himself for where he wanted to go by playing that position in the NBL.
I think the big thing with someone like him is he has not had a lot of court time in the last 3 years. Like he didn't play the year before that. He was at J League Ignite with Jalen Green and all those guys. Barely even played, and then had pretty much a full year off. I think even longer than that, and then steps into Adelaide. And I don't know. I don't know this guy personally, but like it seemed like he just went straight into it. And I saw his points somewhere, and he looked like he did okay, but like it's still a massive step up when you're trying to make an NBA team. But
yeah. You really have to truly know what you have to do to get to that next level.
Yeah.
You got to have people around you that set that up and reassure you, and also let you know based on what they've been told what you have to do. And I can guarantee you, no one in the NBA told him or his agent, "Yeah, we want you to post up."
Oh yeah.
Which was he was doing quite a bit in the NBL. I get it, but it took away opportunities for him to show what he can do at NBA level for them to consider him.
Yeah. Back to you. So back into college basketball. So playing with the Boise. How was the college basketball experience back in the 80s? Like,
for me, I enjoyed it, man. It was a whole lot of fun. I was a kid coming out of Flint, Michigan. Loving basketball, wanted to continue playing basketball, to work toward, going to the NBA. And my next step was college. I was fortunate enough to meet some great friends, great teammates. My freshman roommate at Boise State, we still are like brothers today. So it was definitely fun. I enjoyed it. And it opened me to another world, because in Flint, particularly back then, you're looking at 95% Black community.
Yeah.
With Boise, Idaho, it's the other way around.
Yeah, I would imagine
95% white. So it was an adjustment. It was something that I had to understand that this is where it is in my journey. This is university. This is opportunity for me to engage and communicate with all different types of people, not just my community. And obviously some of the Saturday night university keg parties was a whole lot of fun too. Yeah.
Now you're getting me talking. I
knew you like that.
One thing I want to know is how did you manage having to study, what was your major firstly, and then having to study
business communication.
Business communications. Oh yeah, similar to what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Having to study, and then I assume you probably got up early, doing your training, and then stay back for practice, and then also trying to live a university social life.
Yeah. You had no other choice.
Yeah.
Because if we as players, as athletes, if we didn't maintain, I can't remember what the GPA was at the time, but if we didn't maintain that and we went underneath, we become ineligible.
Yeah.
We wouldn't play. So we had a coach who was in charge of our study hall. So we would study as a team, three
Yeah.
times a week. So we
Oh, wow.
have practice. We have practice in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
Then we go to our classes. We have practice in the afternoon. And then we have study hall after practice in the afternoon. Then we have our dinner. Then we have study hall afterwards for an hour and a half, 3 times a week.
Wow.
And we had an allocated coach to make sure that we were doing that. And that coach would check with our professors to see how we were going, what areas we were struggling in, if they need to go out and get a tutor, because it also reflected on the basketball team if
Yep.
they had players consistently over 2 or 3 years that was becoming ineligible. That would be a reflection back on the team, not putting emphasis on the education side of it. So it was responsibility from their part. At the same time, we had to be responsible as well to make sure that we didn't let them down, we didn't let our teammates down, and we went out and played as a team.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was a balance that wasn't hard. It was just a matter of planning out your day, which the coach helped us out with that as well.
Awesome. How was it? What was the game like back then? And then I know it was reading into it and seeing highlights, it was a lot more physical. So when playing, what conference was boys?
It was the Big Sky Conference.
Big Sky.
Yeah.
Big Sky. So what was it like? I can't say I can't think of any teams off the top of my head in Big Sky.
Yeah. It was back then. The game was a lot more physical. It wasn't as fast paced as it is now. It was stop, start, half court, bang. A lot of screens. Penetration. Obviously, the 3 ball wasn't there, so a lot more physical, and that was fine with me because that was part of my game. Coming out of high school, I was pretty solid, and I enjoyed getting in the gym, and being strong physically as well as mentally. So so that was the style, and my frame, my skill set suited that style.
Cool. And then I saw I was looking up your stats, and I saw in the last season, well, even so, you always just going through this interview, you focused on rebounding. How was it? What was like your thoughts on like getting mastering the double-double? Because you did that in many years in your professional career, but the last season you were pretty close to it. So what was it like, what is it like grabbing a rebound and like mastering?
It was for me, getting there, for me, because I was majority of the time I was close to the basket. I became really good at positioning myself to get the rebound. Anticipating where the rebound, how it would bounce off the rim, and being in a position to at the very least contest for that rebound if I didn't get it. That was a big part of my game. As soon as that ball was shot, I was like, okay, it's rebound time. Who's there? I got to get position. I got to lay some body on them so I can make contact to create separation, which then give me the opportunity to go grab the ball. So I enjoy rebounding. Offensively, hey, you get yourself in a good position. That's some extra points there. Easy points for me. So it's a big part of my game.
When did the mid-range game develop, or was that just always a?
No, the mid-range game didn't develop until I got to Australia.
Oh, really?
I have to admit, I mean, I was okay, but it was not something before that I was really conscious and confident of. But it developed when I got to Australia, because back then the imports, we had to do the load work. We had to go out and score 25, 30 each game because the Australian skill-wise wasn't where it is today, where they take a lot of that load off the imports. So imports these days can come out here and average 12, 15, 16 points. Back when I first came out here, if you average that and your Australian teammates none of them average 20 plus, you would be sacked. They bring in another American that can come in and get 25 and 10.
That's crazy. It's
So
looking
it was,
this. Go
so
on.
it was just something that evolved over time, because I knew I could get down to the block and score, because I had good footwork and I knew how to attack the basket from the block. But then when I went to the free throw line, and a lot of times players didn't think I would be comfortable and confident enough of shooting that, which again gave me opportunity to start shooting that. And I started making them. And I started working on it. And I started making them. And then it became a part of my game. And to where I thought this is just as much money for me in mid-range than on the block. See, and on the block, majority of the time, if I took, 2 or 3 dribbles, I would be double teamed. But up top, it would be one-on-one, and I have enough space to get the shot off. Yeah, so it evolved that way.
Yep. And quickly back with college. So was there any thoughts, not thoughts with any teams talking, like NBA teams talking?
No, I wasn't at that level. And I remember, Jordan came out in '83.
Yep.
Right. And all the NBA teams was looking for the next Jordan. I wasn't in that league. And I was real with myself coming out of college that I knew I wasn't going to get drafted. If I'd have had, an opportunity to go to camp, that would have been good, but it just didn't happen. And I was disappointed, but at the same time, I just made a conscious decision to think, okay, well, I'm not going to the NBA. Europe back then was the second best league. And I thought, okay, I got to get to Europe. Because I want to keep playing. I didn't even think about Australia at that time. I was thinking Europe. So got contacted by an agent based in Germany, and we got to talking, and he set it up for me.
And ended up in Norway of all places. So how did that come up?
Well, he just pretty much said, my agent at the time pretty much said, I have a team in Norway that would like you to play for them. And because that was the first team, I thought, let me jump on it. I knew nothing about Norway. I didn't know the language. I didn't know the culture. I didn't know the weather. But I thought, well, hey, this is another part of my journey. To where I can go there, and if I do well, if I improve my skills, then hey, the NBA is still lurking around in my mind as a dream. So, so I got there, and it was a good environment. The coach was Swedish. The players, they spoke broken English enough to where we can communicate on the court.
Good. And
had a good season. It was a good experience. Because see, again, for me, and this is part of my journey. I go from Flint, Boise, to Norway. So part of that journey, it's basketball related, but it's also growth as a young man.
100%.
As a kid that's coming out of Flint, Michigan. Okay, that's used to that environment, and all of a sudden I'm in a totally different environment that I have to adjust to, that I have to transition, that I have to embrace, because it's working toward my dream.
Well, mentally, how did you go from as you just said, Flint, Boise, Norway, and then obviously you ended up in Australia? How was that mentally for you? And then how were you just able to do that and just keep going with the journey?
I think it had to do with when I left Flint and went to Boise. That was that was easier than I thought, easier than I expected, because I got there and I connected with my team. But I really connected to my roommate really strong. So that made it easy. That made me not even think about being homesick, because I was in a nice environment where I was happy. I was playing ball, and then it was also one where I said to myself, well, wait a minute, I can go from Flint to Boise, Idaho. Wow. I would have never thought that in a million years. I can do that. And then when Norway came along, for me, it was like, okay, yeah, Europe, that's where I want to go. So the way I looked at it took away from me mentally getting drained and worrying about it.
Yeah.
Because the end goal was me still playing basketball.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Me still being able to do something I love. Me still being able to, go to the gym, lift, and then hang out a little bit with the friends and play basketball.
Yeah.
So those transitions, and the dangling carrot of those transitions took my mind away from the worrying about what's this going to be like, what these people are going to be like, what's this coach going to be like, what's the weather. Took all that away because it was basketball for me.
Yeah. And then you did finally end up in Australia, and I was looking. One of your former teammates at Boise State, Eric Bailey. Hopefully they found the right
Bailey.
guy. In the Gibson Lakers. I don't know where the hell Gibson is. Firstly, and then
Gibson Lakers.
And then the Southeastern Basketball League. What? Tell me everything, because I don't know what most of that is.
So while I was in Norway,
toward
the end of my first season in Norway, Eric Bailey, my college teammate, he was in Australia at the time.
Yep.
It was his second year as a player coach. Player coach in the SEABL.
SEABL.
Which is the Southeastern Australian Basketball League.
Yep.
It's pretty much like the Waratah or the NBL 1.
Yep.
Okay. They needed another import, and he called me straight away and said, "Hey man, you got to come play with me. I'm the coach, but I need you to play with me so we can dominate over here and have some fun again like we did at Boise State." And I was like, great. I knew nothing about Australia other than koalas and kangaroos. And I thought, and I did think then that if it's not all that good, at least I'm over there with my buddy. I can hang out with him.
Yeah.
Not knowing what it was going to be like, but the sheer fact that I was coming to play with him and reconnecting him was great, because he was saying to me that, hey, it's the second division here. They do have a NBL team, an NBL league, which he actually played in with the Melbourne Tigers, actually. Previous to taking up the head coaching role. But I said to him, yeah, let's do it. So finished off my first season in Norway, went home for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And then flew to Australia, got to Tullamarine, drove from Tullamarine to Traralgon, which is 3 hours.
Oh my God.
Yeah, in the Gippsland area, and had played my first season in SEABL, and back then we had the red, white, and blue basketball.
Oh wow, ABA ball, love that.
And yeah, we had a great combination in terms of the season. We was inconsistent. We didn't make the playoffs. But I averaged 40 and 20. It worked out well.
That's insane. So obviously, it's still that's still quite similar to like the NBL 1. And with that, what was, obviously you dominated, was way too easy, I would imagine, for you. But what was the big difference from playing in Norway than playing in Australia?
Yeah, Norway was a little tougher. You had grown men in Norway that could play.
Yeah.
Europe basketball, they're very, as they are now, very good fundamentally. They're physical. In Europe they started playing professionally at 16 years old. So when I got there, I wasn't going up against I was going up against kids who were 16. I was going up against grown men who were 28. But for me as an import, I had to go out there with the go hard or go home mentality, and that's the way that was. But in Australia, in the SEABL, it's a little different. the skill level for the Australians was not at that same level
Yeah.
as the European players.
Yeah.
So that allowed me to have a good season. Plus, like I said, my body shape. I was a power. I actually played the 5 position.
Oh, did you?
In the SEABL? Yeah.
Was it just that small?
Huh?
Was it just like that small?
Yeah, that
Yeah.
small, and kids. I was overbearing physically.
Mm-hmm.
And that allowed me to have a good season.
Yeah, awesome. And then you made your NBL debut for Eastside. Some of these names, these NBL teams back in the day, Eastside, some of them, anyways.
Yeah.
And first game you dropped 30 points. So is that right? I saw that somewhere.
I can't remember the actual
Yeah.
number. So what happened there was
how did you end up there?
So when I finished with the my SEABL season, I went
Yeah.
back to Norway for my second season.
Oh wow. Yeah.
So while I was over in Norway for my second season, I got a call from another teammate,
Yep.
another college teammate, Vince Hinchin.
Yep.
Right? He actually was with the Oneonone inspectors, which are East Side inspectors, but
Yep.
at the time they called Oneonone inspectors.
Yep.
They had just sacked the import,
Yep.
which was Dean Utoff,
Yep.
who had a career with the Sydney Kings.
Oh. Oh, okay.
Yes, Mountain Man, Dean Utoff. So
Yep.
they just sacked him, and he said, "Man, I told my coach about you. Hey, you were dominating in the SEABL. You definitely can play in the NBL." He said, "I've told my coach about it. Would you be interested in coming and playing the NBL?" I was like, "Oh yeah, of course."
Mhm.
Because the other thing too, playing in the SEABL down in Gippsland, whenever we didn't play on a Friday, we might have had a Saturday game. We didn't play on a Friday. What I would do, I would drive to Melbourne.
Yep.
And we would play in this place called Albert Park, right? Which is where MSAC is now, Melbourne Sports Aquatic Center.
Yes. Yeah. That's
So
what
this is pre MSAC, pre where the Melbourne Grand Prix is.
Yeah.
We're talking old school. We're talking back in the days when Lindsay Gaze and Andrew would be right there on a Friday playing pickup with all the brothers at the same time. Yeah, so every Friday it was a pickup from 4 o'clock to about 7. And all the guys all the imports and even some of the Australians that lived in Melbourne, and sometimes those that would, live in Bendigo, Ballarat, obviously with me down in Toronto, would come to town and get that real good pickup game.
Yeah.
And so we did that. And so with that, I got a good gauge of how I would go against these imports that's playing in the NBL.
Yeah.
And I was confident, I could play in the NBL, but it was a matter of trying to get there, which, I left that up to my agent. So Vince called me and said, "Hey man, I've spoken to the coach. They're interested. Would you like to come play with us?" And I was like, "Let's do it." Yes. So, so finished my season in Norway. And at that time too, I thought, if I can stay in Australia for a couple of years, work on my game, that might be my pathway to the NBA instead of coming back to Norway or instead of coming back to Europe, because there was a big language barrier in Europe, which
I would imagine
wasn't too much of a problem. But after my first year in Australia, where the language was English, where there was McDonald's, where there's KFC, where there was Kmart, it was all these familiar things that I that resonated with. But I thought, okay, I can easily make that transition in Australia. So finished that season, arrived in Australia, ready to have my first NBL season. I arrived at Tullamarine on a Friday.
Yep.
I met the team at Tullamarine on that Friday.
Yep.
From there, we took a flight to Sydney.
Yep.
This is on the Friday. Took a flight to Sydney. Then we drove to Newcastle.
Yep.
We played Newcastle that night.
They had a team as well. Okay. Yep.
They had a team as well. Newcastle Falcons that night. We beat them. I think from memory, I might have had about 22 or something.
Yeah.
We beat them. left Newcastle that night, drove to Sydney because we played the Kings the next day, Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I
Okay.
don't know if I think I might have had like, 15, 16 points, but we lost to the Kings.
Yep.
And then, went back to Melbourne and, got settled into my apartment, and my career kind of started from there. But my intro into the NBL was arrive on the Friday, meet the team, fly to Sydney, drive to Newcastle, play that game, fly out, drive to Sydney, play the Kings the next night, Saturday, and then fly out Sunday, go back to Melbourne. So you can imagine,
tough.
Imagine on Sunday night where I was, straight on the couch, just laid out from 2 games. Not only traveling from America to Australia, but having to travel to Sydney, to Newcastle, back to Sydney, back to Melbourne.
Yeah.
So it was an intro of a difference to the NBL, but at the same time, I was pumped. I was going on in Drill League.
Yeah.
And again, it was like an opportunity to play in Australia, an opportunity to play with another teammate of mine. And I thought things are starting to work out. I'm enjoying this. And again, I'm playing basketball.
Exactly. What more do you want? And what was the, from playing the SEABL? What did you Sable? I'm just gonna hold that from now on. So playing from Sable and then playing for A side, what was like the biggest step up that you realized after playing those 2 games?
Oh, well, when I got to the NBL, it was as much as the players in the NBL wasn't as skillful as they are now.
Yeah.
They were a lot more physical. Back then, they weren't afraid to throw an elbow or push you.
Oh, wow.
They were. That's how I found out about the word mongrel, because there was a lot more mongrel in players back then. They might not have had the skill set, but they had a lot of mongrel in them. And it was very physical.
Yeah.
And it didn't bother me because I because of my size and my strength, I was okay with that. But I had to make sure that I was ready for it every game, which I didn't have that problem with Siebel. Yeah. But NBL, you had to be ready to, and especially as an import, you get a lot more attention.
Yeah.
So that the physicality was a huge difference. Yeah.
And so doing that, and so you did that season, and how did you enjoy your first NBL season?
I loved it. It was an opportunity to sort of show my skill set to my teammates, to the league, and also to a potential NBA GM that was watching. The whole being in Melbourne, the different cultures, the different nationalities, and again, it also was part of that journey.
Yeah.
Went to Boise.
Yep.
To Norway, to Australia, and by the time I got to Australia, it was getting easier.
Yeah, that's what you want at the end of the day.
It was the challenges, the barriers, there was those things wasn't even a factor, and I was starting to mentally sort of plan my next couple of years and trying to work my way to the league. So
yeah. And then after that, you moved to West Side. These names of the teams are stupid, by the way.
Yeah.
And then how many teams were there? Because I remember you saying to me back in the day that it was way more competitive.
So in Melbourne, you had Oneonone, which is basically East Side.
Yep.
Then you had West Side. You had North Melbourne.
Yep.
You had Geelong.
Yep.
You had Melbourne Tigers.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
This is in Victoria. So you had 5 teams there. So I went from Oneonone. At the end of that season, our coach he got sacked. And then I was like, oh shit, what do I do now? The assistant coach of Oneonone, he ended up going to West Side.
Yep.
And he asked the team over there to bring me over as an import. So I went to West Side and had a season Had 2 seasons with them, which was fun because the assistant coach, his son played on the team as well, and they were my Australian family.
Okay, good. I was gonna
Yeah,
say,
they were the ones that, whenever I, wanted to come over their place to just to chill, hang out, have dinner, I could do that. So it was that was beautiful.
yeah, that's awesome.
So I was there for 2 years.
Yep.
And then at the end of 91,
Yep.
at the end of 91 let me go back. So I was there for 2 years. And then I left there and went back to Oneonone, which at that time was the East Side Spectres.
East
Not
Side.
Oneonone, East Side Spectres.
So now that's East Side.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yep.
the coach there was Brian Gorgian.
Oh wow.
That was Brian. That was my first.
He's been coaching for that long.
Yes,
Oh
that was my
God.
first encounter or being coached under Brian.
Wow.
So we had a good first year. The second year, and this is Dean Uthoff was back with the team
Yeah.
because he ended up naturalizing, so he's an Aussie.
Yeah.
So we ended up getting to the grand final in 91,
Yep.
losing to Perth.
Bloody Perth.
In a 3-game series. Perth, when they had Cal Brute, Tiny Pinder, Ricky Grace, James Crawford, Mike Ellis, Andrew Vlahoff. They had a monster of a team.
Mm-hmm.
We had a good team too, but because that culture, that winning culture, and everything that Perth has, it played a big part in them winning games.
Yeah.
So we had to win game. We lost our first game to them. We won the second game, but the third game, they just got the best of us.
Yeah.
So in the 91, we thought, okay, we've gotten a taste for that championship. We're going to get it next year.
Yeah.
Okay. And then unfortunately, Dean Uthoff decided he didn't want to play with us anymore.
I don't know.
He moved to Sydney.
Yeah, and that's for the
Right.
Kings.
And that rocked us because we were going to keep the same team, come back next year and win it. That was the mindset.
Yeah.
And we was like, oh shit, what do we do?
Yeah.
And at that same time, we were actually in America on a tour.
Oh yeah, so they still did that a lot back in the day.
Yeah, they still did that back then. So we were on a tour as a team.
Yeah.
It was the same year because Brian was the head coach. His brother, Kevin,
Yep.
was assistant coach, and another guy named Ian Stacker, he was assistant coach.
Mm-hmm.
So we were in Dallas getting ready to play. I can't remember the name of the college or whatever. We were having a pregame meal.
Mm-hmm.
All of us in there eating, and there was a TV in the room, and all of a sudden we saw breaking news, and we were like, okay, shit, what's gonna happen here? It was Magic Johnson announcing that he had the virus.
That's right. Not yet. Oh my God. Wow.
Yeah. And we were shocked. We were stunned.
Yeah. Wow.
And the two that were shocked the most was Brian Gorgian and his brother Kevin,
Mm-hmm.
because their dad ran the Magic Johnson camps in LA.
Oh my
they
God.
were really close. So Brian and Kevin, you can see they were just destroyed. I mean, the rest of us, we were stunned to hear the news happening to Magic Johnson, but it hit home for Kevin and Brian.
I knew him.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
wow, that's crazy.
yeah, so that was that's something I'll never forget. And so
I'd imagine.
So when we got back to Melbourne, we had to get a replacement for Brian for Dean Uthoff.
Yep.
So we ended up getting John Dorge, who was playing at Geelong Supercats.
Yep.
He's a 7-footer, so he replaced him. We thought, okay, great, we got another big. We're okay now.
Mm-hmm.
And then that year too, we also we changed imports.
Yep.
Because the import we had at the year before when we lost the championship, Brian decided he thought it's better to make a change. So he brought in Milton Newton.
Mm-hmm.
Now Milton Newton played with Danny Manning at Kansas.
Oh wow.
Highly credentialed, high character guy.
Yeah.
Really good guy. And even today, Milton Newton
Mm-hmm.
He's assistant general manager of the Milwaukee Bucks.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, great guy. He even said to me back then, having spent a little while in Australia and knowing what the league is all about, he had that vision back. He's like, Bruce, man, one day I might come back here and be the general manager of the NBL. You know, just out of conversation.
Yeah.
We like, yeah. Here we are thinking, dude, you play basketball, man. I know that's where you want to go. You want to play NBA. But as it turned out, he got in that position anyway.
Funny how
So
life works.
we picked him up.
Yep.
Started the season. We were going great. We were 5-2.
Oh, wow. Good stuff.
Going really good. Unfortunately, what happened was with Milt had participated in a dunk contest in Adelaide preseason.
Yeah.
And from that, he injured his knee
Oh, no.
and never fully recovered. Even though he was still playing and we were 5-2.
Yeah.
But Brian felt that he hadn't recovered from his injury, and it's been about 4 weeks. And Brian felt that he eventually is going to break down and wouldn't be able to last the season. So he pulled the plug and decided, hey, we need to replace Milt because I don't think he'd be able to hold up for the season, and we're trying to win a championship.
Yeah.
We were surprised for 2 reasons. One, we were 5-2, and 2, Milt, real high character, great guy, and he was, it was devastating for us not to have him with the team anymore because we all got along. We called ourselves a pack that year.
Yeah.
So they end up letting him go and bringing in Rob Rose.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you don't know Rob Rose, but
Never heard of him.
Rob Rose is one of the best players that's ever played in this country.
Oh, wow.
Yes. Came in, he fit like a glove.
Wow.
He
Sick.
came right in and found his spot within the team. You know, he was a baller. He played at a high intensity, both defensively, had plenty of offensive skills. He just fit right in. And when he got here, we just kept rolling. That season, we ended up being undefeated, regular season at home.
Wow.
Undefeated at home during the playoffs.
Wow.
And ended up beating the Melbourne Tigers in a 3-game series in 1992.
92. There you go. There you go.
That year, yeah, we played North Melbourne in the semis and played Melbourne Tigers in the grand final.
Wow.
Yeah. And
That's
that was for us to win. For us, when we won in 92, that was the start of a 3-year championship series of the Melbourne team. We won in 92.
Yep.
Tigers won in 93. North Melbourne won in 94 with Brett Brown.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Mm.
What was that like winning, after putting all that work in, winning that title, and then also being named the finals MVP?
Gratifying, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, gratifying, because at that time I sort of, in terms of trying to get to the NBA, I didn't think about that anymore because I was really enjoying basketball with my team. I was enjoying the country, the culture, the opportunities, and for all that to come together, and the hard work that I had put in leading up to that point, with my journey, it was so gratifying, man. So it was a beautiful finish. What really topped it off, I won. I was grand final MVP.
Yeah, of course.
But what topped it off was I was presented with the trophy by the commissioner, who was the highest sports commissioner in the world. As in Dave Stern.
I remember seeing the video. I do remember seeing that video. Yeah, that was awesome.
That was because his thing was, when he got up on the podium, he said, "Bruce, come back. You have put 32 in a deserving high place." What he meant by that was Magic Johnson was 32.
He was.
Yeah. So it was the cream on the cake for that particular year, man.
Yeah, and firstly, why was David Stern there? And then secondly, Did he be like, Bruce, good game. I think it's time you to come play in the NBA. What was that like? Did you have any talks at that point? Because I assume you would have been one of the top scorers in the league,
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah,
stats.
yeah. So he was there because the NBL, because there was an NBA office
Oh yeah.
in Melbourne. It was an
Yep.
NBA office in Melbourne. So he was there to obviously lift the profile and the brand of the NBA in Australia.
Yeah.
Because it got back because that was during the years where basketball in Australia, it was huge,
Yeah.
right? And it rolled on the coattails of the Jordan era.
Mm-hmm.
Everywhere you went back then, people was wearing Michael Jordan singlets.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Especially
so he
92.
came out here, and the guy that was in charge of NBA Australia, really cool guy. He used to work for Nike in Portland.
Yeah.
He had the vision of, hey, let me bring Dave Stern out here to be part of the grand final celebration.
Yeah.
So he had that vision.
Yeah.
And kill two birds with one stone. Come out here, help, promote the NBA office here. Because the other thing back then too, they had what's called the jam session.
Jam session.
The NBA jam session.
Yeah.
They had that in Melbourne and Sydney. So the NBA was really trying to lift the brand in Australia. This is pre-China. So China's now is a big
Yeah.
NBA audience. Back then, it was Australia.
Yeah.
So it worked out that way where he happened to be here. The plan was to present the trophy, MVP trophy to the winner who ended up being me.
Yours truly.
Hey, that particular year, if I was a movie director, I couldn't have written a better script than how it worked out.
That's perfect. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And with that, what was it like being an NBL player like back then? Were you like, would you walk in the streets and you'd be like, oh, hey, Bruce, good game last night, stuff like that?
Huge.
Yeah.
Especially in Melbourne being a sporting capital. Everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, everywhere. So much so to where I was all about, once I was training, doing my weights, I was locked in. Once that was over with and I went home, it was time for me to switch off, recharge, and get ready for tomorrow. So I lived about 30 minutes outside of Melbourne.
Yeah.
Somehow or another, the neighbors found out that I lived there. And so I would get a lot of people coming, knocking on the door, asking for autographs.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, like, hey, I respect the fact that you guys recognize me and want an autograph. But when I'm here, this is my sanctuary.
Yeah, exactly.
I got to switch off from that. So I said to them, you catch me down at the local shop down there when I'm, shopping or getting some lunch, I'll sign an autograph all day long.
Exactly.
Here, I'm not going to do it here because I knew that if I'd have signed one, the whole neighborhood would have known about it. And every few seconds I would get a knock on the door. And I thought, no, I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And one of my neighbors who had that same issue was Wayne Carey. I don't know what Wayne, he played with the North Melbourne AFL Kangaroos. Yes.
Yeah. Oh,
He
wow.
lived right across the road.
Oh, no.
Yes. So I said to him, man, you got to tell him no, we're out and about. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was
Fair enough.
It was huge.
Yeah, that's sick.
And it was fun. It was enjoyable. I respect the fact that, hey, they recognize me for my success individually, winning a championship with the team. So it was enjoyable.
That's cool.
Mhm.
Did you ever? I think you played with. Did you play with Ben Simmons' dad?
I played with Ben Simmons' dad for 2 games.
2 games, and then did you play with Warwick Kitty? Josh Kitty's dad. You didn't play. He
No.
was he Melbourne Tigers?
He was with Strictly Tigers. No, we were always. And here's the other thing back then too, where I said to you, it was the Southeast Melbourne Magic,
Yeah.
Melbourne Tigers, North Melbourne Giants, West Side, Geelong Supercats.
Yeah.
It was a serious rivalry.
Yeah.
All these teams.
Yeah.
So when we were on the court, we went at each other.
Yeah.
Right. When we were off the court, we didn't speak to one another. That's how competitive it was.
That's
I can
crazy.
tell you, I can tell you right now, I am closer to those guys now, post our career,
Yeah.
than back then. Whenever we
Wow.
would see each other back then, we would just kind of look and give a little nod and keep it moving.
Strictly business.
Because we didn't want to give anyone a psychological edge that, hey, I got you. You know, next time we're on the court, yeah, I got you. No, we didn't want to do that. It was all about, hey, you know, having that tough guy image.
Did you ever have like a matchup that you remember, like he always would just go out every time you played him?
Yes, guy named Mark Davis, LA
Mark
36ers.
Davis. Yeah.
And sometime Andrew Law, because both of them and myself, we played a very, very physical style game.
Yeah.
So, you know, straight away from the jump ball, it was like, bang, letting each other know that, yeah, all right, this is how it's going to be for the whole game.
Yeah.
And, you know, you didn't want to take a backward step. You would let him know that, hey, okay, all right, I'm coming at you too. And, you know, it was good. And even to today, you know, we respect each other for going at each other and trying to throw each other off his game to try to win the championship.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And then you moved down, well, after these great years in Melbourne, and then you moved down to Sydney with the did you play for the Kings or the Razorbacks first?
Yeah, I played the Kings first.
Kings first. You moved down and played with the Kings, and that's where a lot of people will also know you from, you know, for the Kings. And what was that? You know, how did you end up in Sydney, and then what was that experience like?
Yeah, so after I in '92 when I won a championship, I ended up signing a 3-year contract, a new contract with the Magic.
Yeah.
And at the end of that contract, that year we lost in the semis in that year, and the semis the year before.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Yeah, so we had 2 bad seasons, and you know, the players were starting to leave. That closeness, that pack environment was starting to fragment a little bit. And then Brian decided that, hey, you know, it's time for me to make some changes, you know, go in a different direction. And also at that time too, Tony Ronaldson, which was a power forward. He was a young up and coming kid at the time.
Yeah.
Brian felt that he needed to bring him into that space, which I was taking. And I was like, okay, all right. I mean, it was pretty hard because, again, we were family.
Yeah.
You know, I used to go to Brian's house, you know, regularly and hang out, you know, talk trash or whatnot, got along with, you know, with his partner.
Yeah.
But it was a decision that had to be made based on what's best for the team. It was nothing personal, nothing against your skill, but it's time for a different direction. So when the word got out, Bob Turner, who was the general manager of the Kings at the time, called and asked me, you know, can he chat about me coming to the Kings, because at the same time I was getting interest from Geelong Supercats, Newcastle Falcons, and the Gold Coast Rollers. So I was pretty surprised that I got that call from Bob at the City Kings, because their import was Leon Trimingham and a guy named Mario Donaldson, both high flyers.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Leon Trimingham is one of the best darters that's ever played this game.
And be looking at his highlights off this.
Yeah, I said to him, you got two of the best imports in the league. Why you want to have a conversation with me? He's like, oh well, we got to make some changes. I was like, oh, okay. And I thought to myself, okay, well, a change for me might be good as well. I mean, I had a couple of houses in Melbourne, and I thought, okay, let me make a change. Okay, yeah, I'll go to the Kings. It was only for 2 years. Yeah. And I thought after those 2 years, I'll come back to Melbourne and play with one of the teams in Melbourne.
Teams, yeah.
And so I thought a change would be good. So got to the Kings in '95.
Yep.
And bear in mind, I didn't know much about the city.
Yeah.
Didn't really like the Kings because they were the team that got all the exposure around the league.
Oh yeah.
You know, they were like the Lakers who get all the exposure. While us teams in Melbourne, we thought, hey, you know, this Melbourne Sydney rivalry, hey, we the best team, not the City Kings. So there was that there was that that competitiveness there, that dislike there. So
Yeah.
got to Sydney. You know, I enjoyed the first year. We didn't get to the playoffs. I enjoyed it. Midway through my first year was when Jonah was born, the following year in
Yeah.
'96. So Jonah was born,
Yep.
and I thought, okay, I'm at a crossroad here. I got to think about what my next move is. Am
Yeah.
I going to go back to Melbourne?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the same time, the team Geelong that was interested in me, they
Yeah.
folded.
That's right.
They folded. So I thought, okay, there's some instability kind of creeping into the NBL, and the Sydney Kings was probably the most financially stable team in the league
Yeah.
at that time. So I'm thinking I gotta make sure I put myself in a position where contract wise I don't have any issues. So I thought, okay. And Jonah was born, and then at the end of that season, they asked me, would I consider re-signing after next year? So I thought, okay. So my plan of being there for 2 years was sort of thrown out the window because I had an opportunity to continue on with the Kings, the most financially stable team. So I knew my money would be an issue, and I could keep building and being in a position to look after my family.
Mm-hmm.
So, so I ended up re-signing with the Kings and staying there for another, 2 years. I was actually there for 4.5 seasons because it switched from winters to summer as it is now.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, in 96, I think it was.
Why do they do that?
98. Well, they did that because at that time too, during the winter, they were competing with AFL.
Yeah.
And they thought if we switched to the summer, we would only be competing with cricket. Okay. What they didn't realize is, that's probably true, but in Sydney during the summer, you're competing with the outdoors.
True.
Because people like to get out and do things on the weekends. They don't like to get cooped up in the stadium for 3 hours. So they didn't factor that in, but they were thinking, hey, the AFL, the NRL, they taken a lot of our family opportunities away. So they end up switching over in 98, I think it was.
98. Yep. And then year after that, did you move to the bench at that point, or was that the year you won the Six Man of the Year in the 99? Was that?
So I was a starter with the Kings up until I got injured and I did my hamstring, so I was out for 4 weeks.
Yep.
While I was out, they brought in an up and coming, very talented kid named Matt Nielsen.
Yep.
And so he came in and played that role extremely well, had a good season. And then I kept coming off the bench for the rest of that season.
Okay.
Which wasn't a problem. I got that. He was a good kid. And then that following year, which was just a terrible year for us as the Kings, because we went through 8 or 9 imports that year.
Oh wow.
We just couldn't get the import situation right. It affected our season. It disrupted. We could never get into a flow. We could never get chemistry going. And I thought to myself, this is going to drive me crazy. And I knew there was another NBL team coming in the league, which was the Razorbacks the following year.
Yep.
My agent at the time, his uncle was the general manager of the Razorbacks.
Look at that.
So he connected that, and I went to him and said, "Hey man, I can't do this another year. I can't go back to the Kings because I still have 1 more year with the Kings."
Yeah. Oh wow.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. That particular year was when when my daughter Cairo was born.
Yep.
So we went down to Melbourne and had her born down in Melbourne. And during that time, while I was down there, I made the decision of, I think I need to move on from the Kings because I can't have another disrupted season like that because that messed with me mentally.
Yeah, I would imagine.
When I play, I'm all about trying to win a game to eventually win a championship. And the way things had gone that previous year, I didn't see that happening anytime soon. I just want to get out of there and put myself in a new place, fresh, start over and work for the championship. So flew back to Sydney, spoke to Mike, the owner, and said, "Hey, listen, it's not working out for me. I like to move on. And because he respected how I went about my basketball professionally, both on and off the court, he reluctantly said, Bruce, okay, I'll allow that. And so I left and went to the Razorbacks the next year, 98.
98. Yep.
98. Great move for my career. Great move as another team with a great group of guys, good coach, good organization. And I'm thinking, okay, right, I'm at the tail end of my career. I'm going to enjoy this and get the most out of it as possible. First game that season was against the Sydney Kings.
Oh, there we go. Look at that.
Yes. And we ended up winning.
Perfect.
So that just kicked off our season on the right foot and made me even more happy with the decision I ended up making.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And was your longest stint with a team in the NBL, right? With the Razorbacks that you played there too, or was it 2000?
I played there. I played 5 seasons.
Yeah, to 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So what was that experience like playing? Wait, where did you play in Western Sydney?
So first year we bounced between the Whitlam Center out of Liverpool.
Liverpool, yep.
Yep, and the State Sports Center. Liverpool was our home base.
Yeah.
But we also played at the State Sports Center too to try to broaden our supporters base.
Yeah.
But the Whitlam Center, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
They just came and just rocked the stadium. A lot of noise, a lot of trash talk to the opposition. It was one of those places where you go in there, it's intimidating as opposition. And sometimes that could be anywhere. That could be an extra 6 to 8 points, during the course of the game.
Yeah.
And so that's where we started, because that year we had myself, Derek Rucker, John Riley, Dwight Howard, a guy named Dave Hinton, a guy from Brisbane named Ben.
Yep.
Trying to think, Steve, a guy named Steve Ryan from Campbelltown, local boy, Clint Reed. We had a really good team.
Yeah.
And so it was a good start to a new chapter for me. Yeah.
And looking back from going from Melbourne teams to going to the Kings to you're winning the title and obviously ending up at the Razorbacks, what was the biggest thing you learned from each team, and what's the lesson you learned, and then what's something with those lessons that you can tell, a younger kid who might want to do something similar to you, what you did?
The thing that I would say is be prepared for disruptions in your journey.
Yeah.
And those disruptions, a lot of time, is not a reflection of, don't let those disruptions be a reflection of you being a professional and you working hard.
Yeah.
You always want to each and every day go out there and work on your game, work on your craft, grind, because that's going to help you prepare for those disruptions.
Yeah.
It's going to help you bounce back from those disruptions. And whilst they are disruption from a basketball point of view, you're also going to have disruptions for in life.
Yeah.
Anybody that doesn't play sports, you still have disruptions. Okay. The thing is you yourself has got to realize how you can minimize the impact of those disruptions. And so for me, every time I went out on the court and trained, I went hard.
Yeah.
Every time I played, I went hard. Every time I was in the gym lifting weights, I went hard. Individuals, I went hard.
Yeah.
And then I also made sure I, got my rest. I wasn't one who would party every weekend. I wasn't a big drinker. So my life was about being a professional athlete. And anything that would get in the way of that, that wasn't happening. I mean, particularly in Melbourne, I got tons of opportunities to hang out.
Yeah.
but I had to push a lot of those back.
Like, yeah.
Okay, because and this is not only on the weekend. This is during the week as well.
Yeah.
Because at 8:30 every morning, I had to be ready to play, ready to practice.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, one, I would let myself down. Two, my teammates down. Three, Brian Gorgian, for example, he would not be happy.
100%.
So I was very disciplined in how I approach my professional career.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
That's great.
yeah.
And then, so you did a total of, was it 17 or 17, 18 years?
So
And then-
17 seasons.
17 seasons.
Mhm.
And then when looking back, like after looking back, like right now, and you see what the NBL is like now, what's something, you know, what makes you really happy, and what's something you wish, you know, they would have kept?
I wish there'd be more teams.
Yeah.
I love
How
for
many-
there to be, you know, another team in Sydney.
Yeah. We do need that.
Yeah, you know, another team in a team on the Gold Coast.
Yeah.
A team in Canberra. And
Yeah.
and I say that for two reasons. Because one is the league is a good product.
Yeah.
Two, basketball is back growing again.
Yeah.
You might not know it from a national point of view, but because I'm connected to grassroots and still connected to the game,
Yeah.
I see basketball still growing. Because when I played, it was a Jordan era, and everybody was playing and loving it. It was growing so much so to where, because of that, we have all these facilities.
Yeah.
Okay. Now you got the Steph Curry era, Kyrie, KD, LeBron, James Harden, John Morant, Klay Thompson. Those guys collectively are playing a part in keeping the basketball, everyone loving the basketball, and the kids passionate about it and wanting to be like them. Back in the day, for me, my hero was Dr. J.
Yeah.
Okay, but from a global point of view, it was Michael Jordan. Everybody spoke Michael Jordan, and so, but now, it's still just as popular in this new generation of ball players.
Yeah, exactly. And with that, what do you see? Oh God, I lost my train of thought. Yeah, I'll just move on to the next one. Okay, when seeing how much the game's changed over the years, especially with players like, as you said, Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and back when you played, I imagine in college, the 3-point shot wasn't around at all, right?
No.
And then now seeing that, there's thoughts of a 4-point shot, which I hope doesn't happen. But
Yeah.
How do you feel about like how much the game's changed through those aspects?
Well, I think the game, I enjoy it, and I think the game has changed because of the players' build. It's a fast-paced athletic game these days.
Yeah.
Somewhat entertaining, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And you got a lot of high-flying athletes that are playing the game now. The one thing that I would probably wish would improve is decision making. So when there's a 3-on-2 transition, you don't pass to the wing for a 3-pointer.
Yeah.
You pass it to the guy on the left for the layup to go for the higher percentage shot.
Yeah.
As opposed to everything now is, if there's an open look, where's the 3? That's how they're looking at it. That's probably the one thing that I would be critical of the game these days, is they too often looking for the 3 instead of the easier basket, as in the mid range, or even laying it up.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Mm-hmm.
And then after your career, you started coaching. You coached Parramatta, right? Did you coach that team, or my?
No, I
wrong team.
So after I played, I looked after the Knox Grammar basketball program.
My rivals still don't like them.
Yeah, I was doing some coaching there.
Yeah.
Was doing some coaching at Waverly.
Yep.
And I also had the opportunity to be an assistant coach of the Illawarra Hawks for half a
Illawarra.
season.
Yep.
Yeah. And then after all that, then I decided to sort of give back to the grassroots, and that's where I started up. With
Show
my
the shirt. Show the shirt.
Yeah, the shirts. That's why I started up my hoops to, help this next generation of kids that are coming through, with my program based around skills and fundamentals.
Yeah.
And so that's been really enjoyable, because a lot of the kids that I work with have eventually moved on to playing rep basketball. And some of them now are playing state basketball, as in under 14s, under 16.
Yeah.
And even under 18s. And some of them also are playing college basketball, coming either through my program or me working with them one-on-one, mentoring them.
Yeah. And with that, how did I don't remember exactly this, but how did My Hoops, start? Obviously, you were coaching at Alexandria, where I met you.
Yeah.
At Sports Factory, Basketball Factory.
Basketball Factory.
Yeah. And then you moved on to My Hoops.
Yeah.
Was that always the goal when your coaching was starting? Was like to start your own program to teach, these kids the fundamentals of the game?
Yeah, I mean that was I mean the Basketball Factory was it was something that, in actual fact, it was ahead of its time.
Oh yeah, way ahead of its time.
Because that's pretty much what USA is, right?
Yeah.
But that was ahead of its time, and there were some plans of, growing that at different locations. It's just that the owner of the precinct, he had a different vision, which I get that.
Yeah, fair enough.
So I thought, okay, well, we can't go any further with the Basketball Factory because you want to go in a different direction and change the whole business plan of it. So okay, I'll go elsewhere and start up My Hoops and continue to doing the same thing solely under my banner.
Yeah.
And that's where my first location was Randwick.
Yes. Yep.
Yes. And so today, I got Randwick, I got Sydney Olympic Park, I got 5 Dot Leisure Center, I got Ride, I got Blacktown, I got St. Ives, I got St. George.
Oh wow.
And in term 4,
I did say this.
Yeah, in term 4, I would be looking at opening up in Mossman.
Yep.
And Maroubra.
Oh, at Sydney Boys.
No, it's still under wraps.
So okay.
But this is in Maroubra. It'll be a big one. So that's it from a My Hoops point of view. I do have other projects that I'm working on as well. But in terms of grassroots juniors, giving these kids an opportunity to improve their skills and have their own little journey based on how far they want to go. This is where My Hoops is.
Yeah.
Because My Hoops is skill and development. So when they actually want to start playing basketball, or they want to try out for reps, by way of me identifying them and giving them a little incentive, I direct them to the association. So when I started Randwick, as you would know, any kid that want to play, any kid that want to try the reps, I directed them to the Sydney Conference. So that's what I do with my locations. I'll push them and direct them toward the nearest association that they can join.
Exactly. That's what you want. Yeah, I do remember. I remember those trainings.
Yeah.
You always have a big emphasis on the mid-range shot when training it, and I still remember to this day that the amount of mid-range shots we would work at, and I was scrolling through my phone, looking at old videos, and it was remember my friend Max Curry, and it was just us shooting mid-ranges, and it was you in the background filming and saying, "Travel, Sam, travel, travel." So, what's your big emphasis on the mid-range shot? Why do you think it's so important in basketball?
Because it's an opportunity to it's an opportunity to add another part of your game to where you can be effective. I mean, the game is so spread it out. You think about it, you're so spread it out to where you have everyone on the perimeter. Guess where the space is? And you obviously timing on mid-range is important.
Yeah.
But if everyone's on the perimeter, then that whole mid-range area there is empty for somebody to flash or for somebody to dive and get a little floater or, a 5-foot jumper when the timing is right.
Yeah.
And even, you look at a CP3, when he get an on-ball screen from DeAndre Jordan, he's mid-range.
Oh yeah, right elbow.
He don't need to attack the basket because the big has dropped.
Yeah.
He has plenty of space.
Yeah.
So that whereas a lot of these guys, they come off those on-ball screens automatically looking for the three instead of reading, then deciding.
Yeah.
Because like Steph Curry, percentage-wise, he probably have a better percentage on shooting threes than mid-range because that's what he look at. That's what he's used to.
Doesn't
But
shoot them that many.
Yeah. You give me mid-range, you're in trouble.
Oh, you see me at KGV on Sunday mornings. Those were the days.
Yeah.
Those were the days. Yeah, so you would hate I don't even shoot mid-ranges ever anymore. So you would hate my guts.
I'm not surprised.
I just shoot threes.
I'm not surprised. And are you happy with making 1 out of 10?
So sometimes I shoot better. I've had some crazy Aussie runs, let's just say that. But let's quickly go. Let's talk about a couple people. So one person that I remember, working out with a lot was Bailey Chambers, and now he's playing at he was at Hillcrest and now he's at
Rancho
Christian, where the Mobley brothers went, and he's became massive, and obviously you're a big part of his development. What's the process with other kids who want to get to America and get to like a level like Bailey's at, or like example Jonah went to, or other athletes that you've trained?
A few things. Willing to work hard.
Yeah.
Okay. Willing to and have that vision. What I mean by vision is the vision of their journey.
Yeah.
And the skills. Yeah. Those are key. And whilst they have that vision, whoever's training them need to have that same vision.
100%.
Okay, and don't just train them to think that, okay, yep, well, I'm training you just for today. No, you're training them for the player that they're going to develop into.
Yeah.
Yes. And so, and it's within that player's skill set, which then transfer over to the style of the game now.
Yeah.
Yeah, a la a Kai Soto. If I worked with Kai Soto, he'd be pick, pop, and dive.
Oh, I'd love to see that. That would be.
That's it. Because for me, he'd have to be along the lines of Porzingis.
Yeah.
Porzingis is not going to be posting up every time he get an opportunity. He's picking and popping, and he's diving.
He's so bad. How do you feel about it? That's really good that you brought that up. How do you feel about, because his game is, I was watching some of those games at the Wizards last year. All he does is just stand at 3-point line.
Well, it's a tough one too, because they have to stand out there to give Luka Doncic space.
Yeah.
Because he's got the ball in his hand so much to create opportunity for himself and then kick it to whoever is open from their man helping out on him. So it's a tough one, and it can stifle your game.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I really think it affected Porzingis because he need the ball in his hand. Yeah.
Got a couple NBA questions I want to hear your thoughts on. So obviously, I don't know, but did you see that Gobert got traded today? Did you see that firstly?
Yeah.
And then how do you feel about the whole Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving situation happening right now?
That was always going to be either a situation where it was going to work or it was going to fall apart.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because there were so many factors in that. One, Kyrie situation. Two, James Harden, coming in kind of injured, never really in shape. I never worried about KD. KD's a baller.
Oh, he's best scorer in the
baller.
game right now.
And that's all he want to do. All he want to do is ball. And he probably went there thinking exactly that. All I want to do is play basketball. I don't want to be having to deal with Kyrie. I don't want to be having to deal with James Harden. I don't want to be having to deal with everybody talking about Steve Nash. You know, it's his first year coaching. You know, I just want to ball.
Exactly.
And so with James leaving, Kyrie re-upped on his offer.
Mm-hmm.
And it's only for 1 year.
I think he's going to get traded to the Lakers. I don't know how they're going to figure it out, but
So for him to take his 1 year option, Katie is probably thinking, well, I got 4 of mine. If you're not here, I'm left here on my own. With all due respect to the other guy, I'm not winning the championship.
Yeah,
I'm starting over again. And right now in my career, I don't want to be starting over.
Exactly.
I want to put myself in another position to make the playoffs to possibly win a championship.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and at the end of the day, what players do, players look out for themselves.
You have to.
It's just like the teams look out for themselves.
Yeah.
That's the way the game is these days.
You have to, and then you at least you get as bad as like a Ben Simmons situation or something like that. That's so sad to see that, like, you know, especially being an Australian boy, but like how he got held out. And I really want to know like the full picture and would love to hear the full story. And that would never come out, but like that whole situation just to get to Brooklyn.
Yeah, I think once Ben get back on the court, once he get back on the court, we'll see the Ben that you know became an all-star, became a you know, on the defensive team.
I know he's got in. Both those guys probably not even going to be there. Well, Kyrie Irving, realistically, he won't get a trade. Nobody wants him apart from Lakers. But
you just listen. You know, you just the way these teams are going, you just never know.
Yeah.
No one thought Rudy Gobert could be traded, but anyone is tradable unless you have no trade contract.
Yeah, that Minnesota team's gonna be tough. I don't know, but Gobert and Towns playing as your two bigs.
No, Towns.
He can shoot though. Yeah. Yeah.
Now they got a shot blocker.
A team Edwards as well, and then still who's that point?
So that'd be their big three.
Yeah, it's a good team. Russell. Yeah, they got a good team. Really good team.
D'Angelo, yeah.
Yeah. So I have these 10 questions. They're like general questions, and then I ask everybody about them, and I just want to hear your thoughts. Okay. So the first one is tell us about, you know, social media. Like, how do you feel about social media? And then what was the most recent thing you put up for My Hoops, for example? And like, what was that about?
Social media can be helpful in promoting yourself, your brand, your business.
Yeah.
But I'm not one who get caught up in social media to be validated or you know, react off people's opinion.
Yeah.
Everyone have their own opinion. It's not going to affect me unless you say something directly personal to me.
Yeah, 100%.
And then that's an issue. My most recent post on My Hoops is I'm involved with one of the Globetrotters having a basketball clinic.
I did say that
at one of my locations.
Oh wow, that's awesome.
So that's the end of this month, and so the actual tickets for the clinic went live yesterday. Hence why I made the post today. So I'll be doing that over the next couple of weeks.
Yep.
I'll be going and watching and meeting the guys tomorrow at the Globetrotters game.
Oh wow,
that's tomorrow.
How did that come up? How did you get the Globetrotters?
I had the guy that's helping him promote it reach out to me to look after the Sydney leg of his clinics.
Wow.
He's in Queensland. He's going to be in Melbourne and Sydney. So he asked me to be the underground person here to help promote it.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Good to hear. And then the next one is, who's your biggest inspiration?
My biggest inspiration is my kids.
The kids?
Yeah.
I'm just going to grab my charge. I'll be back.
Yeah, that's okay. They are the ones who, who give me my daily dose of strength.
Sorry.
That's okay.
For your kids, was that And what about like so you mentioned Dr. J was like your favorite
Yeah,
player.
he was my hero growing up,
Hero,
who I inspired to be like
Inspired.
as a player.
Yep.
Yeah, Dr. J. And
Yes.
fortunately, I've met him a few times.
Did you? That's
Yeah.
awesome.
Mhm.
That's so cool. It's crazy he can still dunk, and he's like, he must be 70. Is he 70? He'd be close to 70.
Being the 70s.
Yeah, 70s. Yeah.
Mhm.
Next one. Do you have any like crazy like party stories or anything that happened throughout you?
Yeah, I do, but they will not be public.
Yeah, that's fine. Moving on.
Yeah.
Okay, apart from basketball, what's your favorite activity to do, or like coaching as well?
I like to 10-pin bowl.
Do you?
Yeah.
Really? I
Yeah,
never
I
knew that.
like that. And during the summer, if I get a chance, I like to get out on a boat and fish and enjoy just that the serenity of being out in the water, hearing very little other than the splashes from the fish.
Yeah, cruisy. And next one is, what's your favorite place you ever traveled to?
Egypt.
Egypt?
Yeah, I've been to Egypt. That was beautiful. It was being out on the pyramids. Yeah, it was special.
That's so cool.
Mm.
Next one. What are your goals? So let's say, what are your goals for the next year or two? Let's do some My Hoops goals and then just goals for yourself.
My Hoops goals is just to continue to grow it. I do have another project that I'm working on. I don't want to speak too much about it because I got a few guys that are behind the scenes working on it, but it is basketball related. And it's basketball of a difference here in Sydney.
I'm ready to say it.
Mm-hmm.
And then where do you see My Hoops in 5 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years? And even
My Hoops in 5 years will be truly and surely taken over by someone else, because it'll be on the market soon. Because I want to move on to my next
new project. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So where do you see that project in 5 years as well?
That project in 5 years will be up and running smoothly, and I'll be an owner of it, but not hands-on of it, and be semi-retired.
Living the life.
Mm-hmm.
And you've already answered. The next question was, what are you working on now, which you've already mentioned, this project. And then I have this thing called this week's W's and L's. So that's like a win, and that's a win you've had this week. So what's something like a win or something you've had this week, and then what's a loss that you bounce back on, or something like that?
A win this week was being able to partner with the guy who's running the clinic, the Globetrotter clinic. A loss this week. I would say this terrible weather that's about to hit us next 24 hours.
Oh, it's horrible.
Yeah.
This is the only thing I participate in. My win this week. Oh God. Probably doing this podcast. I've been wanting to do this for a bit, and then the loss was another bloody injury.
Okay.
And then couple more questions. So what's your NBA hot take for this upcoming season?
For what now?
The upcoming seasons. Like what's a take? Give me something not expected. So give me something wild.
You know what? The way the league is going right now, expect the unexpected.
Good call.
Because so much can and will change in the next couple of days.
Yeah, no, you're right.
I wouldn't be able to truly answer that question until probably the end of this month, when teams is kind of settled. 80 to 85% of their teams.
Yeah. Final segment is so it's called the guest to guest, and what that is I get a question from the last person who was on to ask you, and then you think of a question for the next person. So the question from last week's guest was, what's something you're truly grateful for and you've achieved?
I'm truly grateful to have had a career that is something that I loved and I was passionate about, and that I won a championship playing. And I'm grateful for the fact that this opportunity has helped me grow as a man.
Yeah, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
And then do you have a question for next week's guest? Can be literally anything.
Yeah, okay. Who is a person that inspires your next guest to achieve their goal and what that goal is?
Good question. Good question. I like it. I like it.
Mm.
That's pretty much it. Do you want to quickly, well, you've already mentioned the My Hoop stuff, so you're going to quickly you can go into that and shout out your social media and stuff and where they can find you.
Social media is My Hoops B-Ball Oz. Yeah, you can just Google My Hoops and it come up. Have a look at our programs here in Sydney, upcoming events, upcoming projects. There's an email on there to reach out to myself for coaching opportunities as a team. Individually, I got coaches that will help players, work on their skill set. So it's there for kids that want to continue to improve their basketball, working toward that next level.
Yeah, great. Well, that's about it. So this is episode 23 of the Reupload podcast with Bruce Bolden.
Well.
Of course, great number. With Bruce Bolden. Thank you so much for coming on.
You're welcome, man. Anytime, man. And keep doing good work on this pod.
Of course.
So.